something you should know about me.
I specialize in a very specific type of security. Subconscious security.
You talking about dreams?
What if you have been dreaming your entire real life without actually realizing you're already inside someone else's dream? What if the very treasure that you have been chasing for so long time is just buried under your own feet and you just need to wake up to see it? What if the journey that you keep dreading it is the only thing that makes the treasure meaningful? It's what's going to give meaning to your life without getting stuck in the limbo. And what if you could extract this subconscious code of your own life's adventure, both like the very labyrinth of the amazing movie Inception and the spiritual quest and journey in the amazing book of The Alchemist?
Mr. Carl has a job offer he would like to discuss with you.
Like a work placement?
Hello everyone, I'm Sohail and welcome back to Mystic Millionaire, where I'm always trying to find the answer for a question that I've been yearning for a long time. Basically this question that how the material world, the world of money, professional breakthrough, career, basically hard sciences can meet the world of mysticism and Sufism, psychology, soft sciences, social sciences, and psychology. Today I'm going to connect the very amazing movie of the Inception with the worldly renowned book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, and I'm gonna just tell you 4 stories. The very first story is the story of the Narcissus and the lake. So in the prologue of this book, I remember that once upon a time there was this young, quote-unquote handsome boy that used to walk from destination A to B, in which there was a very pristine lake. And as angels and goddesses were seen from over the skies, this boy always had a pause and stop over the lake. And he always started to gazing deep into the water and seeing someone who he started to fall in love with. And after so many days going like that, one day he's tempted just to hug that very person. And as you can probably predict, an attempt by which he starts to fall into the water, get drowned, and finally being died, losing his life basically. And in the eyes of the angels, they do understand that indeed it was not the boy who was able to see himself in the lake, but it was rather the lake that was able to see his beauty in the eyes of the boy. And the metaphor and the legend goes that the very famous flowers that we call them, the narcissus, that those that probably you have seen they grow over the surface of the lake, are the ones that are born out of the mourning of the lake for the boy. So I thought that was a very interesting story, and the lesson here is that often and a lot of times maybe we are chasing some external validation, right? Maybe it's the admiration from the spouse or the manager or the neighbor or a relative or someone else, whereas the real treasure, the real beauty is indeed in you, and you just need to rediscover your genuine self. Second story is about the treasure at home. So in the book, we get introduced to this young boy called Santiago, who lives in southern Spain in an area called Andalusia. Story is about this young boy, Santiago. He cannot resist the desire to discover what's the meaning of his recurring dream. And there is this old lady who interprets his dream that there is a big treasure awaiting you in the Egypt under the pyramids that he needs to take a long journey to discover. And she also asks for the young Santiago to give her 1/10 of that treasure when he becomes rich, right? So, and he does this labyrinth, like this maze, like this very tumultuous long journey, putting his life at risk to finally realize that the real treasure was indeed in his very own little village. He didn't need this exotic oriental journey, but rather it was in his very own home. But the key is that he could never realize that without going through all the effort and those painstaking steps that he took all the way from the journey to find. And the practical connection here is that the idea that your personal legend isn't always a big distance away, right? Sometimes is the very purpose that you just started with. Sometimes you just have to realize the assets, the capabilities, the treasures that you already have, but you have been so masked and so much confused by the mundane daily life that you have already forgotten them. And also, an extra bonus for the young Santiago was that if he was not going through the suffering of this long journey, he was not able to learn a lot of things that he learned along the journey. So again, I think a very key old ancient lesson here is that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's in the journey where you meet the love of your life. In this case, it was Fatima for the young Santiago, for whom he fell into love, and all the lessons that he learned from the people who live in deserts and from the very alchemist himself as well.
We create the world of the dream. We bring the subject into that dream, and they fill it with their secrets.
The third story is the story of cleansing, an internal cleansing. So I do remember this very haunting story. This is a story that really captivated me for a long time. That after Santiago puts all of his money and savings and belongings into his pockets and starts his journey, he gets deceived and gets robbed in a land that is very foreign to him. He does not speak the language, and he finds himself very hopeless and helpless. Hopelessly wandering around, he ends up into this very old little store that the owner sells crystals. And I'm not talking about the magical crystals. I'm just talking about like silverwares, crystals, those kind of stuff. And he hopelessly just starts begging that very stern and stubborn looking old guy to see if he can give him a job. And after a few times of asking, there is no response. It's just silence. And out of utter frustration, he just quickly starts to clean and rub the dirt out of all of those crystals and silverwares that were in the vitrine of that store. After hours of doing that work, when he comes back to that old man, to his very surprise, he gets the answer that you are hired, you can work here. And the boy, while the Santiago, our young Santiago, while he's very happy about this answer, obviously, he asks, I asked for the job in the first place. Why didn't you just say yes in the first time? He replies back to him that the reason is that because both you and me needed time to cleanse our mind and our thoughts. And that was super powerful. So I think the practical lesson is that sometimes we need these moments to just take a pause and take some silent hours, maybe to go deep inside ourselves, and maybe just to pause this constant bombardment of the news, information, and stimulus from all over the places to basically cleanse our mind. It also ties to the idea of decluttering and cleaning our environment, but not just the physical environment, digital environment as well, more importantly, our own minds. The fourth story is that finally the young Santiago is able to meet the alchemist. And one time the alchemist invites the young Santiago to his own tent to just have a feast and celebrate. To his surprise, he notices that the alchemist starts to drink wine, and he is perplexed now, and he asks the alchemist, I thought the famous alchemist is avoiding alcohol. And again here the alchemist gives a very interesting response to young Santiago. He tells him, it's not what goes through the mouth of the people, it's what comes out of the mouth of the people that matters. And I think the practical translation here is that real change comes from what you become, not what you accumulate.
Dreams feel real while we're in them. It's only when we wake up that we realize something is actually strange.
So I'm gonna leave you with these questions. What is one dream that maybe you have abandoned? A dream that maybe you had for a long time, but now it seems too far away for you. Where in your own life the treasure that you have been looking outside might be visible just right in front of your feet? What journey you and me probably have been avoiding, that the promise of the real treasure, but we just try to avoid the pain of suffering or a long journey? And if you found a layer of your mind that you never visited and you still want to see what comes next, I would love for you to subscribe the ring bell and subscribe to this channel, and hopefully waking up to the very next layer.
Dreams collapsing.
I have it under control.
Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.